Ice on my neck. Count up a check. Ice on my neck. Count up a check. Ice on my neck, that's incoming. I'm a pretty boy, I'm stunning. Super speed Sonic, I'm running. Super speed Sonic, I'm running.
What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. It's been mad long. There's a lot that's happened in the last few weeks. You know, I took some time. It took about a week there off for a little bit, and then all of a sudden I got COVID. So part of the how many people that have gotten it by now. I know you got it for a little bit there too, bro.
It finally got me.
Finally.
I was moving hot, but
Bro.
it sat my ass down real quick.
Yeah, I mean, at least you got it having fun in Miami. I got it hanging out with Manu, so that wasn't.
There's ways to get it, right? It's like
a little bit of a difference there. Just a little bit of a difference. Sitting in a basement with some guys partying in Miami. But anyways, we're fine now. That was a little rough. Hit a pretty high fever, so that was kind of scary for one night. But
what's the highest it got to?
106.9.
106.9. Damn, you got me, bro. I had 103.
I probably should have gone to the hospital realistically, but like I just
next time go to the hospital.
I just took a nap and woke up the next morning and I was good. But anyways, I'm happy we're feeling better, thank God. Nothing crazy. I know you're still like missing that taste. I'm happy. I only lost mine for a day.
Honestly, like all the other symptoms, like I could deal with it. You know, it's like it sucked being sick. But by far, the worst thing is the taste. Like I still can't taste. Like it's crazy. Like it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's like longer than that, longer than 2 weeks. But still can't taste anything.
Yeah, no, I've been lucky. I was lucky. I only lost it for a day, thank God. And I think it was on Easter. Like I couldn't taste the food. I was like, damn. And then like I woke up the next day. Like I was testing it too. It was hilarious. It was like funny but not funny. Yeah. You know, like when it first happened, I'm like. Because my parents, my mom opens the door. Obviously, I'm stuck in my room for the 2 weeks. She's like, "Oh yeah, we made food for Easter. Like, you want some?" I was like, "When did you guys make food? I didn't hear anything. I didn't smell the food." She goes, "Oh crap, you didn't lose your smell and taste, did you?" I go, "Oh shit, like I might have."
Yeah.
So they bring in the food. I'm eating in my room. Like I can't eat with them. I can't taste it. I'm like, I have to like go like I was literally like. I had my face in the food just to smell a little bit. So I'm like, yeah, I definitely lost it. I took like, all of a sudden I'm like testing it. I take out my tequila. I start taking shots. I'm like, I can't taste this. I was just downing tequila. I took some hot sauce. I'm like downing some hot sauce, like some legit hot sauce. I can't taste that. Nothing's happening. I couldn't smell it. I'm like, this is like kind of funny. Like I'm just ripping shots of tequila testing this, but it's also like kind of scary too. But then I woke up the next day and it was back. And I was like, that was weird. Like,
so you only lost it for like a little bit.
Yeah, like a day, not even.
Yeah, I remember I was making fun of, I think it was Manu. I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you can't taste something. I was like, what the hell does that even mean? And then sure enough, a few days after, I can't taste shit. And I'm like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
But
that was tough. But anyways, back to sports. So we're kind of, we're moving a little bit here with the four major sports. Obviously, football's not happening right now, but they still have like their off season they're going through. But we're seeing it, baseball's having a full season. MLB, they're back. They came back on April 1st. That's how long it's been. It's been 2 weeks since that season started. I haven't talked about them. It's crazy. But they have some fans. I think the Texas Rangers, I mean, it's Texas obviously, but like they have a full stadium like every game, like full attendance. I mean, Savages. It is what it is. Like, as someone that's had it now, that's wild to me. Like, I can't imagine that, but like, it is what it is. Florida, Texas, whatever. Like, they go by their own rules. But
Savages. Bro.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say.
So they have some fans. They're having a full 162 game season. The NBA's picking up. We're in like the end of the season swing here. The playoffs are coming in about a month. It's fun. Like things are picking up. NHL, same deal. So the trade deadline actually just happened with the NHL. Like Bruins made a big move. So I got to talk about that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. But
remember last time we spoke that we were talking about.
Yeah,
that. We were talking about
they
have to make a move. So I'm happy to hear they did that.
Yeah. So yeah, thank God. They yeah, we'll get there. So, anyways, starting with the Red Sox, I just figured, we haven't talked about them at all. I haven't talked about them at all. Let's start off with them. It's not going to be anything crazy. It's just there's the expectations going into the season, like I'd say better than last year, but not what it used to be. Obviously, like everyone knows Mookie Betts, like he's gone, he's been gone, and you're like, well, what are they going to look like? That's like a top 3 right now, top 3 player in the MLB. You traded the guy, so and it's really tough for anyone to come back from that. You trade a player in any league, and we see it all the time.
MVP caliber player.
Right. We see it all the time in the NBA. And sometimes in the NFL, MLB, when you trade a guy like that, the team when there's a trade in general with a player of that caliber, the team getting that player is the winner of the deal. No matter what the
100%.
prospects are, no matter what money you saved, they won that deal.
Those are all like, you don't know. Those are what ifs.
Right.
You're trading for a bunch of what ifs.
Right.
When you know what you have with Mookie. So
Exactly.
no matter what, yes, you were like compensated for that player, but you're still losing that caliber player.
Right. It's like the Harden trade.
Right.
Like, cool, you got some of these guys, you got picks, but like they got Harden, James Harden, top 5
Yeah.
scorer.
You
at least
automatically
player
win
in
the
NBA.
deal.
Right. So the expectations for the Red Sox were really it wasn't anything crazy. It was better than last year because like they got some new guys, they got some new faces. They were a better overall team. Alex Cora, the manager that led them to a World Series, he was back. Obviously, he got fired because of the whole cheating scandal with the Astros, but they decided to bring him back at the end of the day, and it's working out so far. It was tough to watch them go on a 3-game sweep. They lost to the Orioles to start off the season. That's not the best way. It's pretty ugly, especially against the Orioles. Like, they're probably one of the worst teams in the league, like potential number 1 overall pick because they're so bad. But that was tough to watch, and we're like, everyone that follows them is just like, all right, well, here we go.
Right.
Here we go again. But they just ripped off a 9-game win streak. They actually lost today. I was like really hoping they won so I could say they're on like
10.
a 10-game win streak, but they just won a 9-game win streak, which is huge. That's that's a huge comeback for them. It's nice to see something like that. JD Martinez is going nuts right now, and whenever he plays, like he had a 3-homer game the other day. That guy's killing it right now, and it's good to see that because he was just horrible last year. He was ass last year, honestly, compared to what like we know he can be. He didn't cut. He
last
blamed
year was
like
a wash.
Yeah, it's just like between COVID and like just how bad they were. It's nice to see. Well, again, speaking of the Mookie Betts deal, it's nice to see Alex Verdugo. He was like the top young guy that they got in the deal. He's actually like he's been playing really well. He's an outfielder. He's making like game-winning diving catches. He had a clutch hit today before they lost to tie the game. If nothing else, he's like really clutch, which is great to see in a baseball. You love that in a baseball, but you're in any kind of athlete. But to see that, he's still young too. He's like, I think he's younger than us. I think he's 23, 24 years old. So
sheesh.
Yeah, so that's really the top prize that you got in the Mookie Betts deal, and to see him playing well is great. And he's like energetic and everything. He's like everything you want in a young player, which is awesome. I don't know. Again, it's early because I don't want to go too much into depth with them. Like it's a long season, and they're playing the full.
Facts.
They're playing the full amount. So there's going to be a lot of time to really talk about them, which I'll do. But it's just I don't want to get too comfortable. It's like, going into the season, I'm like, okay, maybe this is like a 500 win team or 500 team, which is an 80 and 80. Imagine when you lose 80 games in the season.
Yeah.
Like, it's tough to see like in any sport when you lose like literally like
half the games.
Like, it's tough. That's tough. So I think that's where a lot of people peg them. I'd say like
What's their record right now?
They're 9-3 now. Or 9-4. Sorry,
9-4.
9-4 because they lost today.
So, I mean, they got hot.
It's early.
Yeah,
it's early. It's really early. So, it's usually when it's like late May, early June when you really start to see what a team's made of. Like, you'll be like, okay, this team's going to the playoffs. They're going to be like a buyer at their trade deadline or a seller if they're bad. Like, that's when you really start to figure out. April's like whatever. Right. If you make it through April with like no injuries, that's like really the win, So it's tough. But I don't know how many games they're going to win realistically. Because they got to get Chris Sale back. They got to get Eduardo Rodriguez. Those are the top 2 pitchers. They don't have their top 2 pitchers, which is
that's
huge.
encouraging, though.
Right, it is. I don't know if they're going to be like durable, which is the major problem because
Yeah.
like they both had like big issues. Like Eduardo Rodriguez, like he had like heart problems because like, he caught COVID last year and like
Jeez.
he had to miss the season. Chris Sale's like having like a degenerate arm at this point. Like we can't. Eduardo Rodriguez he's missing time. He was ready after the whole heart problem thing. Like he was ready to go. Dead arm before the season. They call it dead arm when you like legit can't throw.
Damn.
So it takes time to heal. So I don't know. Like they're not playing around with like soft stuff with them. So like, but it is also encouraging like that you're gonna get those guys back.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know?
just rest them.
Yeah.
It's a long season.
Yeah.
Like you need them late in the season. You don't want to you don't want these types of problems late in the season.
Right.
So it's good that they can win some games.
Yeah, I just feel like they're gonna be like that girl, you know. Like that's
Which
the
girl?
first
Which
thing that
girl?
came to mind. Which girl? I feel like that's gonna be like that's just the first thing that came to mind. Like when I first pegged them for like the amount of wins that they're gonna have, plus like just seeing what they did now. Like they're gonna be that team where, like I said, you watch them lose like those first three games, and you're like, what the hell, like. And then they win 9 in a row, and you pick up your phone, you see the notifications, you're like, oh, word.
What's going on
Yeah,
here?
so it's like that girl, you know, like you're talking to this girl or whatever, you have a thing with this girl or your ex or something, whatever, and it ends and like you're like, oh, like whatever, bro.
Yeah.
Like you're over it, you know. You're like, you know what? I'm not expecting much, anyways. It's over. Then all of a sudden you like pick up your phone one night, it's like you get that hey text. You're like, damn, like what's good? Like I'm like a reminder, like I'm here, you
Right.
know. And then you're like, okay, and then it's like just disappointment all over again. Like I feel like that's what it's gonna end up being with the Red Sox this year. So
It's like don't get too excited.
Right,
Don't
yeah,
get too excited.
yeah.
You've been down this road before.
if you know, you know. That's
Oh,
the best
God.
way I could put it. It's just like
Dead.
they just keep coming back. They drag you back in, and you're just like, oh, word, like we're back, and then it's like, no, we're not. Like,
Nope.
see you later.
Ah.
Like, every
God
time.
damn. God damn it. Don't play us
Classic.
like that. If
Classic. Just completely toxic. We're still talking about baseball, right? We're still talking about the Red Sox.
I think so. We could switch it up.
Sorry,
we could switch gears. We could have a whole relationship
Oh,
relationship conversation, something
Hey, if we have
along
enough
those
time,
lines.
I'm down, but hey, or that could be a conversation for another day. We'll get there at some point. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm a huge baseball, but I know not everyone is. Most people are in baseball. I can admit baseball is like a dying sport. Like, and no one really likes watching it anymore.
Hey, I don't know about dying sport, man. Those kinds of contracts don't tell me
Well,
nothing about dying.
It's not. I guess like
I think baseball's alive
I guess
and well the way they get
audience.
paid.
I guess audience, they're from their perspective, it's a dying sport. Like it's just like it.
I think
get it.
too casual like sports fans.
Yeah, no,
It's
just,
I admit, like I'm not the biggest baseball fan.
right. You
Like,
jump into it when if they're good, like
Exactly.
playoffs. Because I remember like
last
World
time,
Series.
Yeah, last time we were in the
Right.
World Series, I was hype. You know,
It's
I was
mad
like,
fun.
I was like, I mean, who doesn't like to win, especially your
baseball.
city's winning?
Yeah,
Like you gotta root for that.
Right.
So
Say-
it's dope what it does to like the city and like
Right.
everyone's up and about and like celebrating. So
Right.
of course you'll take any championship.
right. Because at the end of the day, I think Boston, realistically, it's like it's a baseball city. I really do think so. Like still at the end of the day, like you know,
You see it. You see it. Like
Yeah.
like the energy in the city is different when the Red Sox are good.
right? Because everyone loves the Patriots, but they don't play here technically.
Right.
They play in
Right.
Foxborough, so it's like I'd say the Red Sox, like it's just so deeply rooted. You know, like they're that team, and bro, baseball playoffs are mad fun. Say what you want about the sport. Like, I'm not gonna say it's better than like the NBA or something like that, but like the parity in it, like you don't know who's in what. Like the Rays went to the World Series
Yeah.
last year, they didn't win, but like the Tampa Bay Rays, no one goes to their games. They're trying to pay them to leave Tampa Bay,
Right.
and that team went to the World Series. It's like stuff like that, you know. Like you love to see it. It's just like a
100%,
classic sport,
100%.
and it's fun during the playoffs. So hopefully they can do well. Hopefully they can get there, and we can have that kind of conversation. And in October. Let's not get to October too quickly. Let's have some fun. But like, man, I really hope they can do something because I love it when baseball is my favorite sport. I love when the Red Sox are relevant. So
Yeah.
it's nice to see. We kind of need that. Boston fans kind of need that with the way the Celtics have been playing and the way the Patriots just played and all that. So anyway, speaking of another Boston team, Bruins. So they made a trade. Like we've been saying I've been saying, and some guests I've had weeks,
Yeah.
and you've been on for like a couple of them
Yep.
where like I just rant about that for a little bit. They made a deal. They made 2 deals. The big one was Taylor Hall. They acquired him. He's a left wing from the Buffalo Sabres. They got another player too, center Lazar, Chris Lazar, something like that. Lazar's his last name. And they got a defenseman from Ottawa, Mike Riley. The big one was the Sabres deal and Taylor Hall's a big player. So for those of you that don't know, I'm sure you all remember Tyler Seguin. He was the second overall pick, and they got rid of him for nothing. Like, he was nasty and all that. Taylor Hall was actually the first overall pick that draft before Tyler Seguin. And he's been bounced around a little bit. So he's been an MVP before on like a really bad team. And he's been on some really bad teams. Like when he first got drafted, he was on Edmonton. Awful team. They trade him to New Jersey, the Devils. Still right now, horrible team. Then they trade him to the Arizona Coyotes. You see this trend right now?
Yeah,
New Jersey, Arizona.
Just bounced all
awful
over.
team. And then they send him to Buffalo, who's just always awful. So this guy's been on like bottom 10 teams like almost his entire career. And he's having a really bad year. Yeah. He's been around the block. Yeah, and where they're like his fourth team, the Bruins, in like the last 16 months or something like that, which is crazy. But I'm really happy, like, if nothing else, even if it doesn't work out, I'm happy that that they made the move. You know, I've been saying about the Celtics, I've been saying about the Bruins, make a move, show us that you want it. You know, like even if it doesn't work out, I'll be happy that you tried. Don't just be complacent and sit there. And they did it. So I'm really happy about that. And they actually got a pretty good deal. Second round pick and Anders Bjork, who he's like a fourth line like center. You know, like he comes off the bench, he plays like 12 to 15 maybe minutes a game. Nothing. So it was like fun watching him sometimes, but man, to get not just Taylor Hall, but like another like depth player for a second round, you don't have to give up your first round pick. Usually guys like that, like even the way he's been playing horrible this year. He only has 2 goals on the season. He's played most of the season, which is really bad. But again, he's been on a horrible team, and you got him for a steal. And if you can sign him long term, sounds like he wants to be here. It's great. So I'm happy the Bruins made that move. They're playing right now. I think they're winning as of this recording. April 15th. Yeah, they're going right now. So they're playing who are they playing right now? The Islanders, who have had their number. The Islanders have just completely owned them. So that'd be great if they could win that game. Tuukka Rask is back. He was out for a few weeks there, just like us. And so as long as they can figure something out there, you know, it's going to take a little bit to get those guys in there. But, that's a great deal. And I'm so happy they pulled that off. They could have done more, but they also could have done nothing. So
you got to take what you can get.
Right, of course.
Point.
That was one of the better players to move on the trade deadline on trade deadline day, and the Bruins got him.
Perfect.
That's huge. I'll take it. Take that every day, every year, as much as you can do that. So that's all with the Bruins. Just, you know, I don't have to rant about them anymore. They made the deal. So
Great job.
Going on to the Celtics. Another team, man. Hey, they got the Lakers tonight, your Lakers.
Yes, sir.
10 p.m., so
yes, sir.
Not playing right now, so I don't have to follow that. Man, they've been on a tear lately, Celtics. I really been wanting to say something about them. I'm finally getting the chance. You know, Tatum's losing his mind right now. Guy's hitting clutch shots. He's like scoring almost 30 a game or just under 30 a game, I think. Like he's really putting the team on his back right now. They're on a 4-game win streak. They were on a road. This is the last of their 3-game road. I think it's 3-game road trip. Lakers are the last.
They're playing
in
LA, of course, right?
Yeah. So that's the last of it. They should win tonight, realistically, Celtics, because like the Lakers again, there's no AD, no LeBron tonight. They should win. I'm expecting a win. If they lose, whatever. But they, you know, not to like go at the Lakers, but like this is what it is. You know,
I mean, on paper,
Yeah.
On paper, of course.
When you have the 2 best players on the court, they're going to be on the court tonight. At least, maybe even 3. You should probably win that game. That's all it is. So this holds a little bit. You know, it's always the Celtics, Lakers. You always want to beat each other. Mm-hmm. It's just what it is with that matchup. So if they can come back home on a 5-game win streak and just try to build off that momentum, because they're not. Let's be real here. They're not going too far in the playoffs. It just is what it is with that team. Like I've accepted it. I think a lot of people have accepted it, even with the deal for Evan Fournier, who hasn't played. He like missed the first few games. He's on like the COVID list. He's like banged up. He had one really good game. Like he hit a ton of threes in that one game or one of the 2 or 3 games he's played so far. So getting him back and coming off the bench or whatever role he's going to play is going to be huge. It's not going to really do much for the end result in the season, but if they can get the 4 seed and at least be like the home team in the first round, you can probably move on to the second round with the teams that you might play. Like Atlanta, you probably don't want to see them right now. I think we talked about it before. Like they've been really good.
Yeah, they're a deep team.
Right. But if you can be home against like the Knicks or maybe the Hornets, because like 4 through 9, the seeds in the East is just up in the air. Like no one's catching the top 3. The Bucks can end up being the 3 seed. No one's touching them. They're like 6 games up on everyone else at least. So that's not happening. But if the Celtics can secure that 4 seed, that'd be great. I don't know how much further they go than that, but let's get there.
I say with the Celtics, the only thing I would be concerned of as a Celtics fan is if you fall into that like play-in, which like they were floating around the standings there a little bit, and that's where you don't want to you don't want to see that.
They still can too. Like I said, like they're all really close.
I think if they, like you said, if they carry this momentum and they come back home and win a few more games and just kind of continue that trend, you avoid the play-ins, because play-ins, like Celtics are a type of team that one game they're gonna miss, that they're not gonna show up, and then you're out of the playoffs. That's worst case scenario right there. Like I wouldn't want to see this Celtics team in a play-in, because they're the type of team they could win, but you're not. Anyone could lose. Obviously,
it's questionable.
But
for
exactly,
sure.
and they're not the type of team that's going to instill a lot of confidence in a win or go home type of situation.
Yeah.
So,
they're if they ever have to be in that scenario, they've already underachieved, but like that's as bad as it can get, pretty much.
They were there.
Yeah. No,
if
they end up there, that's a tough scene, honestly. But I don't know. How about your Lakers, though? I really wanted you to come on and talk about that a little bit. No AD, no LeBron for a while here. I know AD should be coming back sooner than later, before LeBron.
Yeah.
But they've dropped to the 5th seed now.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that was expected.
Right. Because the West it has been tough. It's a great regular season for them.
But they've hung in there. They've hung in that 4th, 5th seed.
Right. Like, it was tough at the start.
Yeah.
But they've
they made the initial drop, right? So this is how I look at it as a Lakers fan, right? They made the initial drop right from the injuries. Obviously, like you lose AD first, and then right after that you lose LeBron.
Right.
So they took the dip, which everyone expected. Right. I mean, it would have been insane for them to continue that momentum like without those two guys. There was going to be that adjustment period. So you have that. They take the dip, but once they take that dip to the 4th and 5th seed, they've been there the whole time.
Right.
They've hung tough. Like if you look at their last 10 games, they're right around 500, maybe even a little above 500. They've won some games. They beat the Nets. They just beat the Hornets. I mean, it was a great game.
Yeah.
Like they played a great game. A lot of guys are stepping up. They were just on the road as well. And in that road like series, whatever, there was a lot of encouraging like play from a lot of role guys that you want to see step up. And it wasn't just LeBron and AD being out. Like Kuz missed a few games. A few other guys like were out here and there. So Drummond has been out.
Right.
So
immediately.
So immediately he was out from the first game. But then like you also have seen him put together some good games, and you're like, hold on a second. Like, you mean to tell me like LeBron and AD are gonna be back on this team with a guy like Drummond on the floor,
right? Who
you don't really need him to do much. Just run up and down the floor and just instill that that presence of like another big man who's extremely athletic. Like you see all the problems that gave Brooklyn.
Right.
And I want to talk about that game. I ask you what you think about that, because, I mean, we looked dominant in that game. We smacked them by 25.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Kyrie and Schroeder, they got into it, right, with that whole back and forth. And they both got ejected with a double technical. But that was late in the game. That was late in the third quarter.
Right.
Where we had already been winning the game. Nothing changed. We went on a bigger run after that happened.
Yeah.
But KD was in the game, and KD I'm pretty sure went for over 20.
Yeah.
So I mean he's playing. So he's the best player on the floor. He's not 100%, but he's the best player on the floor.
Right.
And you lost by 25. So what does that tell you as you know, as a basketball fan, are you looking too deep into that loss for the Nets? Like personally, I think that obviously it's not a big deal. It's a regular season
Right.
game. Both teams have guys out, but the biggest takeaway is I feel like the Lakers are turning they're having turning point in the season right now where guys are stepping up, and it's not about just LeBron or AD have to win
Right.
these games.
No.
These guys are winning games now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fair to say that there was an adjustment period. Like those guys, those top two guys, the stars got hurt. You know, guys like Kuzma and Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell and KCP, they all have to step up. And you know, it takes a little bit. It's like I said, it's an adjustment period for these guys to get used to not playing with those guys like basically carrying them. Like they make everyone better when they're on the court. So now that they've gotten used to that, because it's been like at least 3.5, 4 weeks since LeBron got hurt, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
I think.
it's been a while now.
Yeah, so they've kind of they've settled in, they've buckled down, like they're winning these games, which is it's good to see if you're a Lakers fan.
Yeah,
But the Nets game, it's tough because like I get it what you're saying, like that was great to see them step up, and like I hate the Nets now too, so like I'm actually happy the Lakers won that game, but at the same time, it's like you always hear these, especially the stars, you always hear these guys that like they just don't take the regular season like really seriously. They wait till the playoffs. That's like a huge thing in the NBA, which I think that's a well-known, like we all know that. We can see it. Maybe that game was different, but at the same time, you're the Lakers. There's so many factors. You're these young Lakers players or just Lakers players in general. Like, LeBron and Kyrie have a history. You're like, okay, let's win this for Bron. Like something like that. Like, let's go at him.
Right.
And like you said, this is like the biggest thing in my opinion. You have Schroeder and Kyrie going at it. Like you said, they both got ejected, and that was late.
They were hooping though. They were playing basketball.
Right, but
You know
down
what I mean?
but,
You could tell both teams were playing.
right.
playing
No, they
ball.
were. But down the stretch of a game, if you take you have Dennis Schroeder take Kyrie Irving out, like that's not like a cancellation. Like that's not neutral. Like Kyrie's here and Schroeder's here, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I know what you're
take-
saying.
You take
but
that guy out of the equation.
I think Schroeder had like at that point he got ejected. He might have had over 20. Like he was balling, dude. Like he was hitting everything. He was shooting the ball really well. He was making plays. Like
Right.
he was in that game. So it wasn't like they lost some guy off like the bench that wasn't doing anything. Like,
true.
But yeah, obviously it's not
yeah,
comparable
right.
like down the stretch.
Just watching Kyrie
But-
down the stretch of games sometimes.
but what stretch? You lost by 25.
Yeah, no,
You got smacked.
yeah, it seemed like there wasn't much coming
and
back.
it wasn't even like close, and especially in the fourth, it wasn't even close.
Yeah,
And KD was on the floor.
yeah.
So
He's still getting back into it too, though. I think
Yeah.
he was out for a really long
no,
time.
yeah,
so-
definitely. I'm not reading too into it.
Right.
I'm not
That's
reading too
gonna be
into
the
it.
finals.
I'm
realistically, yeah.
more like I'm not giving the Nets any like, they're not a good. Of course, the Nets are the Nets. They're gonna be there. I think, in my opinion, in the East, they're gonna come out of the East.
Let's be real.
But I think just more as on the Lakers end of it, it's like they are playing good
It's
basketball.
encouraging, yeah.
Like they're not getting blown out. They've lost a few games, close games, and they're beating playoff teams.
Right.
So and they're doing this all with injuries lingering with many guys, not just their
Top
number
guys.
one and number two guy.
Right.
Their entire team is hurt. So you got like one guy missing a game here, one guy missing a game there. It's hard to get into of like that chemistry and that flow when you have guys out every night, especially like we said, you have Bron and AD out.
Top 5 players in the league. So
Right.
top player and top 5 player. So speaking of the Nets, actually, I just remembered LaMarcus Aldridge had to retire. I don't know if you saw that today.
Yeah.
His heart condition.
Yeah,
tough.
that's sad.
Tough. Obviously the Nets were stacking up their roster, and like we all hated to see that. But you never want to see a guy have to retire like that. I love Aldridge too. I've always respected him. He's like a great game. I think he might be a Hall of Famer. I know he didn't win, but like he had the longevity and like, bro, he was nasty in his heyday on the Blazers, bro.
I mean, it was just 2 years ago. He like I saw a stat like he dropped like his career high 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So 2 years is not that long, especially you take like last year was kind of like a weird year.
Yeah.
With COVID, but like 2 years ago, this guy went for like 56, I think, as a career high.
I've
You
always
don't
had
just do
respect.
that, you know, unless you're Kobe.
I've always had I've always had respect for Aldridge, bro. Like that's sad to see. You know, obviously, again, like I said, that team's not going to be as stacked as they were, which is great. I don't know why my flashlight's on, but but yeah. So that's tough. But respect to him and his career. That's awesome. But anyways, again, with the Lakers, staying with them, they have been dropping, like we said. I know, like they've been playing well lately, but they've dropped to the 5th seed.
Yeah.
They have potential. I think the worst I can see them being is the 6th seed. I mean, again, those guys are going to most likely come back during the regular season. LeBron should at some point. AD's coming back soon. So maybe they go back up in the standings. But as of right now, let's say the season ended today or even a little later and they happen to drop to the 6th seed.
You're thinking about the matchups.
Yeah, I am.
Playoff
I
matchups,
am.
right?
I am
Yeah,
because right now, as a 5th seed, I still think they can win. Obviously, again, with LeBron and
Right.
AD, because it's the Nuggets.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Nuggets are a good team. Jokic is probably MVP in my eyes.
I don't
Like,
agree, but
You don't think so?
that's what it's looking
Who's
like.
your MVP? Embiid?
Honestly, I think it would be Embiid.
Embiid?
I think Embiid made that jump this year, where without his, without what he's done for that team, you're looking at the Sixers 4th, 5th seed, like, 6th seed maybe even.
Right.
He took a major leap, I think, this year. So
Do you want me to say, like, why? Not that you're wrong, but, like, why? So, like, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's
I
hear
don't
it,
want,
let's
before I
hear
put
it.
it the wrong way, if Embiid wins MVP, you won't hear a thing out of me. I'll be like, okay, that makes sense. If Curry wins MVP, great. Okay, Dame, any of them, all of them that are in it, I get it. The reason why I think Jokic is going to win it, there's multiple reasons. One is just he's also, like, really stepped up. He really has. And, like, some of these other guys have gotten hurt. Like, LeBron was obviously in the talks before he got hurt. And, like, we've seen lately with, like, these Rookie of the Year awards and, like, MVP awards and, like, awards in general in sports, like, when a player is, like, leading it and they get hurt, they drop out, especially if it's for a long period of time. Like, you saw Embiid. I think that's why he's taken so much of a hit. He got hurt, too, in the past few weeks. He missed, like, a couple weeks there. So
that's a big game. He had a big game.
he did. No, he
against
dropped
the Nets.
mad points on the Nets.
Yeah,
They beat the Nets. They beat the Nets.
Yeah.
So, that's a big deal. Like, he's obviously, like, back to when he plays, he's one of the best players in the league this year, as of this year. But it's just he missed some weeks, and, like, that's the thing.
But here's
Sorry,
Go ahead.
go
Yeah, go ahead.
And just to finish, I'll let you go as long as you want. The other thing is the second part of that is now that Jamal Murray's out, that's a huge hit for the Nuggets. They're done. Like, I don't care where they finish. They're probably not. I can't see them getting past the second round. There's only so much Jokic can do, even if he is the MVP. You lose your second best player, but that's why he's going to get the MVP. That's going to be a narrative for this last month, especially if he keeps playing the way he does and they stay. Even if they don't climb, if they stay where they are in the standings as the 3, 4, 5 seed, the Nuggets, they're going to be like, look at what this guy did.
Right.
He lost his second best player. Jamal Murray's, like, not only just a 20-point scorer at least, he was one of the top, like, wing defenders this year. Like, he's consistently been on, like, the top 5 or 6 like defensive player of the year.
No, he's a great player.
So you lose that, and so people are going to look at that and be like, look what this guy's doing without that. He's the MVP. And that's how it works. That's all I'm going to say about that.
You're right. I think that you're right on the fact that people are going to – that's what people are going to say. That's the narrative.
Right.
But I don't agree with that narrative because if you are the MVP, you're the MVP of the league, right? It shouldn't matter that Jamal Murray is out. It shouldn't be that – it shouldn't hold that heavy if you're really the MVP.
Right.
And two, they went and made a big move to go get Aaron Gordon, right?
Yeah.
So if you're the MVP, why are they making all these narratives around you? Oh, you got to go trade for Aaron Gordon, get some more help, right? You got to now you're talking Jamal Murray's out for the year. It's like, okay, and they're writing the Nuggets off because they lost Jamal Murray, who isn't the best player on his team. So are you really the MVP if your team is being written off because of those, like, factors? Like, I mean, if you're all I'm saying is
That's a fair point.
It doesn't seem like he is the MVP. MVP has become, like, I don't know, like
It's kind of like a statistic.
like
know,
this,
like-
especially this year, Like, I don't really think Embiid's the MVP either. I don't even know who. In my eyes, LeBron should be the MVP. but
He might have been
listen,
if he didn't get hurt.
But listen, but obviously I'm joking. But like
Yeah.
this year, it's like okay, you could tell me Jokic is MVP. You could tell me Embiid is MVP. I don't think either guy is MVP. I don't think either guy is the most valuable player on the team. It's just you have to give it to somebody. And this has been one of those years. It's like, I mean, I don't even think it's, if you give it to Harden, if he never got hurt, I wouldn't have been mad.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Giannis again.
give it to
honestly.
Dame. Just give it to Dame.
Yeah, Dame.
Honestly, just give it to Dame.
He definitely deserves to be.
If you're not gonna give it to Embiid or Jokic, give it to Dame. But I could see the argument for Jokic. I just don't think that he's the true MVP. I think Embiid has done more for his team than what Jokic has done. Jamal Murray is a big player.
Yeah.
And they have a deep team. Michael Porter is also another huge player. You know, so I think you have to like you have to give that Nuggets team and the coaching. I
Yeah,
personally,
their coach is great.
Yeah, so I think you have to take all those things into consideration. It's not just Jokic; it's a team. So let's see what they look like without Murray.
It's a Nuggets team that the Red Sox, that the Celtics went on a 31-3 run against.
Yeah.
Man,
Hey, MVP, right?
that was
Where was the MVP?
Hey, I mean, I don't know. I forget what kind of game he had, but you know what I'm saying. Like, if with your second best player out, if he can keep it up and like keep them where they are at the very least, they're like, if you see his game fall off, that's huge. Like they'll all of a sudden like, okay, maybe it is Embiid, you know. But if he like keeps them afloat and keeps them, they're not gonna like fall out of the playoffs because of this. But like if they fall, they take a dip. You could see him like fall out of the conversation. How about Steph though? Is Steph in that? I know like they're, that team's awful, and like they're the 9 seed right now. They're in the play-in format in the playoff. They'll be playing for that. Guys averaging 40 a game.
Listen,
like recently,
yeah.
30 on the season.
I'll say this. If Steph can get them into the playoffs, I think he's the MVP. Because you got to look at it as remember the year that Westbrook won MVP?
Right.
This is, I think, it's not on the same level, but for like what they have on their roster of guys that are healthy actually can go and play, it's very comparable to what Westbrook did with OKC when they dragged them into the playoffs.
Legit.
So I think it would be the same. I think Westbrook got MVP that year largely because of like the numbers
Triple-double.
he put up,
Yeah.
right? Because averaging a triple double is insane. But he would have never got MVP if they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I think
You can't give a guy that doesn't make the playoffs MVP.
Exactly. So right now, as it stands, the Warriors are not in the playoffs. But if somehow Steph can get them into the playoffs, I think just for the lack of like quality for MVP this year, you give it to him. Because that was the case for the year that Westbrook won MVP.
Right.
It was just they didn't have anybody else like with those top teams that they were going to give it to. So they gave it to the guy who did the most remarkable thing of like the regular season stats wise and like getting his team that shouldn't be there into the playoffs. I think that's what you're going to see with the Warriors. Like if Steph can somehow do that, it would be that kind of MVP. Right. And then I would almost rather have that happen because in my opinion, Steph Curry is actually an MVP. Like
He's one of the best ever right now.
Exactly.
Man.
So
Crazy,
like if you give it to Jokic, if you give it to Embiid, I don't agree with it. I don't think they're the most valuable players in the league.
Yeah.
Right? And this is a league award.
Yeah.
It's a regular season award, but like Joel Embiid isn't the most valuable player in the NBA.
No. He might be the best center.
And Jokic isn't
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
That's fair.
I think give it to Steph, give it to Dame, give it to somebody that makes sense. Like I'm not picking Dame over I'm not picking Jokic or Embiid over Dame or Steph.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not. I'm just not. As a basketball fan, I'm building a team. I'm not taking any of those guys over Dame or Steph. So give it to the guy that actually could be an MVP.
I think Steph's the only one of those guys that like if he gets it, like the league would be like up in arms, like fans, because like everyone has like this thing against the Warriors and Steph now. It's just like really, dude, this guy won again. It's like, but that was years ago where like, back-to-back MVP and like, unanimous and all that.
Mhm.
The only other scenario is maybe like Embiid if he doesn't get it, like Sixers fans, because we obviously all know the goons in Philly, those fans over there. So if their guy doesn't get it,
Major
like,
shots to
yeah,
Philly.
I mean, hey, you know what it is. We all know what it is with those kinds of people. So like, those fans are just terrible. But like, so if their guy doesn't get it, you're never gonna hear the end of it. You know, especially with the way he is. He's gonna say something. As vocal as he is, his like character and everything. I'm like, really, bro? Like sitting there, like
He's got a point. He's got a point.
He's gonna say something. Like, he's gonna say something. But I don't know. Are you scared for the Lakers? So you're not worried about the Lakers at all? You're not worried at all in any scenario?
Not at all.
I was looking at it, and like if they end up the 6th seed, they play the Clippers in the first round. Like they're still a home team technically, so it's like whatever there. And if they play the Nuggets first round, like I said, no Murray, so I think they're done anyways. And they're not going to fall further than that. So unless like someone else from the top falls lower, or someone from the bottom, like maybe the Blazers or something, makes their way up. Maybe the Blazers and Dame. But like even then, like I just can't see it. I can't see it.
Realistically, let me ask you this. Out of the West, who's beating a fully healthy Lakers team?
I give the Clippers the best chance. And
Clippers
even
the best.
then,
I agree
yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Clippers have the best chance, but I don't even think it's close.
It's going to take like everyone playing at their full potential on the Clippers, full gear, whatever you want to call it, like all systems go to beat the Lakers. And even then, it's probably going to be like 6 or 7 game series. Has to. So
I think
that's it. That's the only way.
if you had asked me before the trade deadline, I tell you, no matter where we see him, first round, Western Conference Finals, doesn't matter. I was going to say 5 or 6. 5 or 6 games, we take care of them. The addition of Rondo at the deadline scares me a little bit. He won a championship with us, and you're giving a guy like that 7-game series. So like he's gonna study the whole team. Obviously, he knows the team that if it's the Lakers, right? And that kind of like coach on the court with Rondo, that can scare you because you know he'll be able to win a close game, 1 or 2 close games for them. I think just his presence on the floor, it's gonna make like guys like Kawhi and PG their job much easier because it's adding something to their game that they don't have, right? With Rondo, like that like coach on the court, which is what they were missing honestly last year as a team because they had the talent.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think with that point, maybe it goes 7.
Yeah,
I think it goes 7, and they give the Lakers the best shot, but no, I don't think that anyone out of the West is beating them.
relevant news: Anthony Davis has been cleared for full on-court activity and could return this weekend against.
Let's
the
go,
Jazz.
let's go.
So not tonight, but this weekend. That's they probably don't play tomorrow, but sometime over the weekend. I forget.
See, that's encouraging.
Exactly. Yeah,
like
of
it's
course.
like even a report like that. Maybe it's gonna take a while till he gets back to how he was playing before he got hurt. But just the fact that that's trending in the right
That's
direction,
huge.
and that's a scary injury, like with the
especially with
calf.
his history.
Yeah, of course.
Because that's the big thing when they traded for him. Whenever he was trying to get traded, it's like, okay, this guy's a little injury prone. Like he was a little injury prone in New Orleans.
Every
so.
time, I remember last year in the finals, anytime he went down, like it looked like a
Stressing.
season-ending injury.
Yeah. You have to hold your breath because like just
every
the way,
time,
just the way
every
you've seen
time that
it.
he falls,
Yeah,
every time he falls, I think it's season-ending injury.
right.
Like it just like he gives. He makes you very uneasy.
Yeah, just
as a fan.
just knowing his history.
history. Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, you mentioned Drummond. I wish that was a guy the Celtics could have gotten. They probably. I really hope they weren't thinking they were going to get him on the buyout. It was clear he was going to Lakers or Nets. Like that was a given. That like I said like before when I've ranted about the Celtics, like that's a guy you have to trade for. You're not getting a buyout player.
Yeah.
They didn't sign a single guy on the buyout. Guys went to the Spurs and the Raptors. They didn't come here. Gorgie Dang going to the Spurs.
yeah.
Like I would have loved to have him like off the bench here, like solid big man, like coming around, like can shoot the ball better than Luke Cornett. Like what?
Yeah.
He went to the Spurs. The Spurs might not even be in the play-in. Like that's what I'm talking about.
I know.
They needed to make deals, and they did make deals. But it's like at the same time, you got rid of Tice. Like I don't know.
They're not. You can tell. Like to speak on the Celtics a little bit, like they probably are thinking of some like long-term options now. What are they gonna do?
Right.
You could tell by the moves that they made and how like not aggressive they were at the deadline. They're trying to put together a better product than the first half of the season. That's
Right.
the kind of the vibe I got. But by any means, they're not trying to win a championship.
Right, because they know they can't. Yeah.
I think they just know that this team is just not gonna have that kind of a result. So they're not gonna go and give up assets to get some guys, which they could have probably done. They had the assets to go get Drummond, but are they going to go give up assets for a guy who's probably going to bounce after a year if there's not a big bag waiting for him,
Right.
Because he's going to go for some money or a championship,
Right.
which Drummond doesn't get you a championship.
No, not here.
With the exactly,
No way. Yeah,
right?
no.
With the Celtics.
No. Yeah, no. You're still not even the 3 seed.
So
with
I
Drummond
think
here.
for both teams it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, for both parties, it doesn't
Right.
make sense,
I was just saying like that. That's like a guy like any of these guys that got bought out. You had to go trade for them. The Celtics had to go trade for them. They didn't do it. It is what it is. But Evan Fournier, sick.
Hey,
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of NBA there. We talked a lot. NBA is the big thing right now.
especially we're getting closer to the playoffs.
Yeah.
This year looks exciting.
Right.
Whatever conference.
Right. It's really close in the East. I know the East is trash compared to the West, but like I said, the 4 through 9 is like
But they have
3
some
games.
entertaining teams.
They do.
Like
They
you,
do.
Like you want to see some of these matchups. Like,
Right. Yeah.
So
I'm cheering for the Knicks to
Yeah.
make the playoffs. As long as they don't like somehow beat the Celtics. Like I want to see the Knicks in there. Like I feel bad for them honestly at this point. Like I hate New York, but like come on, like, you got to feel bad for them eventually. With the Hornets, teams like that.
Let them get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
Let 'em get into the
honestly,
playoffs.
that's what these play-ins are for. I love the play-in tournament. Now that I like know the details, it's sick. The 8th and 9th seed, and then the 10th and 11th playing each other, and like that's crazy. I love it. I think that's a great. I kind of hope they keep that. Like there's in some sort of fashion. Maybe just 8th and 9th seed to determine the 8th seed in the future, like in a regular normal season. But like, it's fun. It looks like a lot of fun. But yeah, with the Patriots, I kind of want to talk about everyone today, but all 4 teams. There's really not much to talk about with them. It slowed down a little bit. Obviously, Julian Edelman retired. That's huge. Great career.
Big respect.
Yeah, I mean, that guy, I have the catch against Atlanta on my wall. We were at my house. We watched that Super Bowl. I was screaming at the TV. That's one of the most, that's a top 10 clutch moment in sports history.
Yeah.
Not Boston.
Not just football.
Not this era. Not our lifetime. Sports history ever. That's crazy. Like that guy and everything else he did while he was here. 3-time Super Bowl champion. You don't win any of those games without him. Bro, he was something
Legend.
else. And where he came from.
Yeah.
7th round quarterback draft. Like, man,
True legend.
It's guys like that make Bill want to find more guys like that, and it doesn't work out every time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's those guys like that don't come around often.
Yeah.
It's what he did for the city and what he did for sports in general, I think is huge.
Yeah. The way he played caught up to him eventually, unfortunately. The guy ran around like madman.
He's a maniac.
He got drilled all the time. All I can ever think of when like the hits come in of like the hits that he's taken, the memories is like that Cam Chancellor in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks just trying to take his head off. Everyone's like folded this way, but he kept running. Like that was a concussion. He had a concussion on that play, 100%. Like
I know it's crazy. Edelman's taking some
and
monster hits.
It caught up to him. I don't know. Maybe he comes back like Gronk did and joins Tampa. I highly doubt it, but. That's what everyone's kind of hoping for at this point.
You never know.
No, let's not get into that. let's celebrate him as he is right now. No, he had a great career and much respect to him. Man, I'll never forget that catch.
Yeah,
I'm screaming at the TV, bro. We were all screaming at the TV. Caught it. Bro, I'll never forget that ever.
Unbelievable career. Like playoff career alone is Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think you take his playoff resume. I don't give a shit what he did in the regular season. That playoff resume on top of that catch,
It's almost
it wasn't
unmatched.
it wasn't one Super Bowl. It was like you said, three Super Bowls, and he was a major reason why we won those 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah, and you
know?
forget they didn't have him against the Eagles, the one that they lost. They didn't have him.
Yeah.
So like you think like maybe he was the key.
You win that game.
Oh, 100%. Him
win
and
that game.
Hightower was hurt too.
It didn't come down to offense, but it
Yeah.
came down to making a play.
Yeah.
That's what it came down
Yeah.
to, and that's your guy.
Who got the one stop? Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the guy you go to when you need a first down. You need a conversion late in the game. That's your guy.
Right.
Didn't have that, and that's what it was in a game where defense wasn't really a factor on both sides.
Yeah.
You needed the guy, your playmaker.
You're missing.
And you don't have that guy. Look what happens. You lose a close game.
You're missing that guy that showed up in the clutch on offense and on defense by not having
Yeah.
Hightower in that game.
Right.
We forget to Hightower.
Yeah, Hightower was out.
The plays that he's made in some Super Bowls
so
too.
crazy. We could have had another Super Bowl. We guys shout out Philly.
Oh,
Another.
I hate Philly. I hate Philly so much. Scumbags. Anyways, yeah, no, that's tough. I mean, we're spoiled. So hopefully they can pull something off this season. The draft it's 2 weeks from tonight. It'll be happening as we speak, like right now. I'll do like a mock draft at some point, probably next week sometime. Hopefully get that out before the draft starts because a lot has changed since I had Rafi here and we did our whole mock draft like about a month ago, I think. And there's been a couple trades and the 49ers moved up and the Jets are definitely taking a quarterback now because they got rid of Darnold. Like, we didn't know. So there's some things going on. It's going to be the first year that I can remember that 3 quarterbacks are going to be taken with the top 3 picks, which is crazy.
Yeah. Did the pass trade up?
No,
No.
they haven't made a first-round trade at all.
I saw that. I think it might have been a mock draft of Patriots trading up to the 10th
They
pick.
could.
They could, right?
A lot of guys like to make those
they're
predictions, but
they're talking about that kid from Ohio State,
Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
Yeah,
What do you
maybe.
think? Is he worth?
I think
is he
if
worth
he-
trading up for?
I mean, I think if the 49ers don't take him at 3, that's stupid. That's a dumb.
Yeah.
That'll be a really dumb move.
So you don't think he would even be there?
No,
at 10?
no.
They had him going to the Patriots at 10. If
If he
Maybe-
falls like that,
yeah.
it's a steal.
Yeah.
Steal. Absolute steal. I can't. Even if the Patriots get to 10, if they trade it to 10, the Broncos are at 9, they'll be stupid. They're not going to pass up on it.
yeah.
There's so many teams that aren't going to pass up on that player. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyways, thank you for coming on. I think we're going to.
Thank you for having
We're
me.
going to cut it short there. We'll get into that relationship like
Yeah. We'll do a special episode on relationships.
That's coming at some
coming
point.
up.
That's coming at some point. But yeah, bro, thank you for coming on. One more thing I wanted to say. Today's the 8-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombing. Rest
Yeah.
in peace to
Rest in
everyone.
peace.
We'll never forget that. Obviously, you lived in Watertown still at the time, and I
I
lived in
lived-
Watertown.
I lived right where on the same street that it happened. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like
Yeah,
right
with
on
the- with the
right on
shooting.
Dexter and Nichols,
Dexter
like
Ave, yeah.
with the shooting. So
Yeah.
I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was
We were
crazy.
seniors in high school
Yeah.
on things, April break, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. They found him the 2 streets over from my
Yeah,
house.
right.
I ran
I know,
out of
in
my
that
house.
boat.
I ran out of my house because I was like, I'm sick of this. Like, I don't want to sit in the house anymore.
Yeah.
I'm on break. I run out. They found him. All of a sudden, gunshots and
Yeah.
everything. My dad's like throwing me back in the house. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
it was
a crazy
wild.
day.
It was wild times.
Yeah.
But
Rest in peace.
Rest in
to
peace to-
everyone, man.
yeah.
That's we'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's tough. But again, thank you for coming on.
got it, brother. Thank you
I'm
for
happy
having
we're
me.
back.
I know.
See you all next time.